What's up everybody, it's Galmadex, and welcome back to another sealed event of War of the Spark. So let's just open our packs and see what we can build today. Have Widespread Brutality, amass 2, and then the army you amass deals damage to its power equal to each non-army creature. Kind of a board wipe, and it makes your army bigger. Roelesque Apex Hybrid, we got him before, and he's back again. Seemed like a very strong card last time. 5 mana, 4/5 flying trample. When it enters the battlefield, put 2 +1/+1 counters on another creature you control, and when it dies, proliferate twice. A Johnny the Great-Hearted. It's pretty interesting. 4 mana for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. Creatures you control have vigilance. You can +1 to gain 3 life, and you can -2 to put a counter on each creature you control, and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. Vivian's Arcbow. X mana, tap, discard a card, look at the top X cards of your library, and put a creature card with converted mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on bottom of your library in a random order. That could be pretty nice in sealed as well. Living Twister. This card's very interesting to me. I think it's probably pretty good. 2 red and a green for a 2/5. Elemental, and for a red and a colorless, you can discard a land to deal 2 to any target, and for a green, you can return a tapped land you control to its owner's hands. This card just seems really good in the late game, in sealed for sure. When you're both just trying to top deck into something good, and then even when you're just hitting lands, you can now just use them as damage. That seems pretty strong. Massacre Girl, 5 mana for a 4/4 menace. When she enters the battlefield, each other creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Whenever a creature dies this turn, each creature other than Massacre Girl gets -1/-1 until end of turn. So it keeps chaining and potentially just wraths the whole board. So some interesting rares. We'll have to see what colors we have to support these cards, because I think that a lot of those rares were pretty good. So there isn't like a set rare that I definitely want to play over the rest. I think that there's multiple that I think are really strong. I think Brutality could be really strong as a board wipe. I think Living Twister could be really strong in the late game. Roelesque is obviously very strong. He was last time. Johnny's interesting. I don't really know how I feel about him. I think you probably want a lot of... well, you obviously want a deck with a lot of creatures and or planeswalkers to get the most use out of his abilities. So we'll have to see if we have the support for him. And then Massacre Girl seems pretty strong too. So we're going to have to go through our colors and see what we've got here. So it looks like we do have a couple Angraths for making an amass style deck to go with Widespread Brutality, so that's pretty good. We do have a Mayhem Devil as well for going in Rakdos. Our red, we have a Grim Initiate, which is okay. On-Crop Invader looks okay. Honor the Godfair is probably pretty good. It's Tormenting Voice for 1 more mana and you amass 1. Tormenting Voice is just 2 mana. Discard a card, draw 2 cards. This is 3 mana for that plus amass. Spellgorger weird. Demolish is garbage. Goblin Assault team's probably not very good. Chain Whip, Cyclops, Sarkhan's Catharsis, Bond of Passion. Alright, well our red doesn't actually look that great, because we don't really have any of the cards that you really want to see in red, which is the burn spells, stuff like Chandra's Pyrohelix. Be really nice. We do have a Bond of Passion, which is sort of a burn spell, but it's 6 mana for that 2 damage, but you do get to also active treason a creature. You get to steal a creature till end of turn, use it against your opponent, so it's an interesting card. But yeah, red not looking incredible. Definitely looks okay. What do we have in black towards a black-red amass deck? We do have a Spark Harvest. That is an obvious auto-include if we're playing black. Kaya's Ghost Form is interesting. Could let us, like, chump block with a creature and then have it come back and get the ETB effect again. So that could be really good on, like, a Massacre Girl. It could also be good on planeswalkers that have a loyalty ability that we could actually minus to get them killed. Because if it's a planeswalker that's like Ingrath, I think he starts with 5 loyalty. and then -2 is a mass 2. Yeah, if we just put it on Angrath and our opponent doesn't damage him, then we would -2 him twice, he'd go to 1. And then we couldn't get him to come back unless we could get our opponents to kill him. So it's definitely an interesting card in that manner. But I think it could be good. Lazotep Reavers are obviously going to be pretty great in a mass deck, I think. Also, any deck that has ways to sacrifice creatures, these are super nice, because it's just 2 mana for a 1/2 and a 1/1 if you're not going to amass that larger later. So you could just, like, play this and then, like, sacrifice your zombie army to gain a life and draw a card with the Spark Reaper later. So I think the creatures here are pretty good. Spark Harvest is pretty good. Toll of the Invasion I've been very impressed by. Target opponent reveals their hand, choose an online card from that player, discards that card, and amass 1. I was impressed by this at the paper pre-release. I just kept getting hosed by this thing. Because I think that this format is pretty bomb-heavy, with as many powerful cards as there are. Cards like this definitely go up in value if you can just discard them so you don't have to deal with them later. It can be pretty nice. Charity Extractor, probably not for the kind of deck we'll be building. Herald of the Dreadhorde, that definitely works if we're building a mass. And then obviously Massacre Girl and Tithebreaker Giant I think is pretty good as well. It's a lot of mana. It's a 6 mana 4/5, but you do get to draw a card when it comes into play. So I like our black. Not a huge fan of our red. What do we got in blue? Wall of Runes seems like a fine blocker. Callous Dismissal, I think this card's incredible. This card is so good. 2 mana, return an on-land permanent to its owner's hand, and amass 1. So at the very worst, it's like a cheaper Mana War, which is just a 2/2 creature that comes into play and bounces a creature. This is basically a 1/1 creature, comes into play, bounces a creature. But the other thing that you have to note is that it returns any non-land permanent. So if you've used one of your Planeswalkers a bunch, and they're at a really low loyalty counter, this just has the added benefit of, like, you could just bounce your own Planeswalker to get more counters on it. Like, that's not what you're going to do most of the time. Most of the time you're probably just bouncing an opponent's creature that's very threatening. But the fact that the option is there is very, very nice. And this is obviously really great against zombie armies. You can kill whatever size of a zombie army it is. You can kill it if it doesn't have hexproof or something like that. Skythreader Strix, a nice little flyer. Aven a Turtle is one of the best commons, I think. 3 mana 2/2 flyer, and you amass 1. Flux Channeler, we did get destroyed by last time. I think this card could be pretty good if your opponent is running a deck that is low on removal, because it destroyed me when I was running a deck low on removal. Noggin Turtles, whatever. Spellkeeper Weirds, whatever. Crush Descent is whatever. Relentless Vice is whatever. Rescuer Sphinx is pretty good. With Planeswalkers, just when it's at its best, that's what you really want to do with it. But even without Planeswalkers, if you have any creatures with a decent enter the battlefield effect, like an Aven Eternal or something like that, you could just return that to your hand to put the counter on it. I think Rescue Sphinx could be pretty good. Tamiyo's Epiphany is great. That's just a lot of cards you get to scry through. Eternal Skylord seems really good. We could just make like a blue-black amass deck. It does seem like we have a decent amount of amass in blue and black, and we have some of the payoffs in that, like we could give it flying, which is nice. Dambreaker proliferates, it's just a big, large creature. I have liked that card so far. And Thunderdrake is just a nice little flyer. So I like black, I like blue. What do we have in white? Charmed Stray, not a card you're going to play when you have one copy of it, as adorable as it is. Grateful Apparition might be okay. Martyr for the Cause, I do like that. It's just a 2 mana 2/2 with upside. If it dies, get to proliferate. Pouncing Lynx is okay, I guess. Rally of Wings, you have to be in a very specific deck. War Screecher seems good. Makeshift Battalion seems good. Rising Populace is okay. Teo is okay. Trusted Pegasus is great. Yeah, white seems pretty basic. We have some good creatures in white is what we've really got. We've got Trusted Pegasus, we've got Sunblade Angel, and just some random commons that are alright, like the Worst Creature in the Battalion, but we don't really have any removal or any bombs in white to really support it. I guess Bond of Discipline could be a little bit of a bomb, but certainly not one of the like crazy like rare mythic bombs. So white seems okay. White about on par with red, I would probably say. So in green we have Arboreal Grazer, Giant Growth, Vivian's Arcbow, Pollenbright Druid, Ronch Wrangler, Snare Spinner, double New Horizons, double Bloomhulk. So we've got some good ramp and proliferate in green. And then we have like Challenger Troll and Primordial Worm. So we do have the cute little combo, which is Challenger Troll plus Angrath. If you give all of your creatures with power 4 or greater the effect that they can't be blocked by more than one creature, and then also say that they have to be blocked by more than one creature, they just can't be blocked at all. So if you get Challenger Troll and Angrath out, that can be hilarious. So that's cool. So yeah, I think I would probably rate how good our colors are as... Honestly, I think blue is our best, followed by black, followed by green, followed by white, followed by red, probably. I don't know for sure. Alright, and then in the multicolored stuff, we'll make sure to check Cruel Celebrant, decent white-black card, but we're not playing white-black most likely. Ashiok is an okay card if you're in a slower control-y kind of deck where you think that the game is going to last long enough that it will be a game of who's going to draw out of their library first, which has happened before to me. The games can definitely go pretty slow. Invade the City. Pretty cool for an Amass deck. We could be like blue-black Amass and try to splash red for Widespread Brutality and invade the city, but the problem with that is that Widespread Brutality it costs double red, so it's a really hard splash. We haven't even checked yet, but we do have Vraska in green or black. I'd probably play her if I'm playing black. She seems okay. 4 mana for 2 1/1s with Death Touch that whenever they deal damage to a Planeswalker, you destroy the Planeswalker as well. Would be fine. There's a Roalesk if we end in green-blue. Obviously, I did mention that. What do we have for fixing? We have a couple Guild Globes and a couple Mana Geodes and 1 Prismite. Let's see what this deck looks like with... I just think Roalesk is probably our strongest bomb in our decent colors. Like, Widespread Brutality is pretty good, but our red is not. Whereas Roalesk is very good, and our green-blue is pretty good. So I'm gonna just see what a green-blue deck would look like here. Because that also gives us access to the Arcbow, which is a fun little, probably bomb. Alright, I need 2 more cards to fill out for green-blue. We could just throw in Ashiok and Vraska. Because we do, in our green-blue, we have a Pollenbright Druid, 2 Bloomhulks, and Roalesk for Proliferate. Oh, and Kyora's Dambreaker, and Flux Channeler. Could try to proliferate into some nasty stuff. Alright, so if we're playing green-blue, I think this is the deck. What kind of problems does this have? I think the main problem is we don't really have any kind of targeted removal. Yeah, we have 0 removal. We could throw a Forced Landing in here if we're worried about trying to kill flyers. Um, but with this deck, I am just hoping that we have enough flyers. We have Sky Theater Strix, Aven Eternal, Thunderdrake, Rescuer Sphinx, Eternal Skylord, Roalesk. We have a Spider with Reach. So I don't think we super need Forced Landing. Like, it'll obviously be good if our opponent ends up having, like, a bomb that's also a flyer. But I don't know how likely that is. Alright, so I think this is what we would build if we're green-blue. I think the only other deck that I'm very interested in seeing how it looks would be blue-black Amass. So I'm going to build that now and see if that looks any better to me. Probably just pick out of those. Probably run Relentless Advance if we're going deep on the Amass plan. We could also make some kind of 3-color abomination. We could do like Sultai so we can play Roalesk and the blue-black Amass stuff. But for that, we'd have to be like core green because it's double green for Roalesk. Maybe splash in the black? I don't know. I'm not a major fan of running 3-color a lot of the time, unless one of the colors is just completely just like splashed in. It just doesn't feel like it would be that kind of build. Let's just toss Vraska in there. Alright, I mean, I feel like this deck has less weaknesses than the green-blue one, in my opinion. Because this has some ways to interact with dangerous threats on our opponent's side of the field, other than just trying to block or outrace them. The problem with this one is that the curve is pretty awkward, I think. So giant stack at 4 mana, not like a whole lot of cheap stuff. But yeah, like we have Spark Harvest to kill a creature, we have Callous Dismissal to delay some kind of threat, deal with it later. We have Toll of the Invasion that could maybe just make our opponents discard a bomb, so we don't have to deal with that. And other than that, we just have a good little collection of creatures trying to make a giant zombie army. Don't really have any ways to protect the zombie army unless we throw in the Crush Descents. Crush Descents do seem, like, okay. I'm not usually a really big fan of the counterspells that make my opponents pay a set amount of mana. Just because a lot of the times when counterspells could be the best in slower decks is going to be when you're both just sitting there top decking stuff just to make sure that they don't ever, like, bomb you into death. And these are just terrible in that situation because they will definitely have enough mana to pay for that by the time they top deck into something. So these kinds of counterspells are really best on the curve. So, like, this is a counterspell you want to be countering something. Ideally by, like, turn 6 or 7. Or they'll get into a situation where they've flooded out enough that this will do basically nothing. I guess, at worst, this still just amasses onto our army. So there's not a whole lot of downside in playing it, whereas there could be the big potential upside of it stopping something dangerous. So I guess I'll throw them in there. But now I gotta take some stuff out. I think I want to take some 4-mana cards out if I'm taking something out here, because that's where we're at here. Just a giant stack of them. I guess we could take a Relentless Advance out. It amasses 1 more card than Crush Descent. Or it amasses 1 more counter than Crush Descent, so Crush Descent is accomplishing kind of the same thing. while doing other stuff. And I guess we might just take Vraska out. I'm not so sure how good she could be. Could also just take a Herald of the Dreadhorde. Yeah. Well, I do like him a lot, but I also like getting as much value out of Flux Channeler as possible, which wants us to have more non-creature stuff, so I kind of don't want to take Vraska out for that, because that Vraska gives me another card that's good to proliferate onto, and another non-creature spell to trigger Flux Channeler, which is fun. Yeah, it's probably okay to just take a Herald out. And then this is the blue-black deck. Alright, well, I think I will go ahead and try out the blue-black deck first. If this ends up sucking, we could move over to the blue-green. The blue-green does have more consistent, quicker threats. I think that's really where we're at with the blue-green, because we have, 4 mana 4/4s into 5 mana 6/5s, 6 mana 7/6s, just some big dorks. We also have the ability to put some counters on stuff with stuff like New Horizons, and then start proliferating with Pollen Bright Druids and Bloom Hulks. So I think that the blue-green deck is more of an aggressive, just like, try to force our opponent to deal with our stuff, rather than dealing with their stuff, whereas the blue-black deck is kind of an in-between. It's not like, it doesn't completely deal with everything our opponents do, because we just didn't get a lot of removal and stuff, but it's more of a split between the two strategies. We have more ways to interact with our opponents with this deck. The blue-green's definitely more of like, let's both play our stuff and see whose is bigger. Arena's taking its sweet time. Oh, and the second I complained, it's ready. Right, let's get in there. This hand is potentially gonna end really poorly, but I was on the draw there, so I'm hoping that I can hit my third land by turn 3. And even if I can't, at least I have a couple blockers till then. And there is the third land for turn 3. I think if we play out a Lazotep Reaver into playing out the Aven Eternal, we've got some time to draw our next lands. Especially if our opponent is stuck on 2 mana. And we definitely have some time. I will go ahead and attack with the zombie army. I think it's okay to trade our 2/2 zombie army for their flyer. Looks like they do not offer the trade. Looks like they are still stuck on 2 mana there. I kind of want to just play Angrath and go big here. If I play Angrath, Aven Eternal has Menace, so they can't block and cast some kind of instant to kill my Aven Eternal. And it also makes my my zombie army too larger and gives it Menace as well.
If you want it, fight for it.
So this is... I think this is our most aggressive play. Rescuer Sphinx is the only other thing I was able to do there. And I do think it's pretty strong, but it's a lot slower of a play. Because we probably bounce our Reaver, and then we just attack for 4 instead of 6. And our stuff doesn't have Menace. So, opponent completely stuck on mana there. So that wasn't much of a game, not really much testing of the deck happened there. But I do think that it at least showed us that this deck does have good aggressive draws. That is not only a thing that the blue-green deck can do. Because I think that would have been a nice, just decent aggressive draw, even if they had a decent start as well. Alright, this hand is not a nice aggressive draw. This is much slower, but I do not think that it is worth mulliganing. So this we don't do anything till turn 3, then we just play a little 2-3 out there. And then hopefully turn 4... I guess turn 4 we might even just be able to Tamiyo's Epiphany if this game's gonna be slow. Just try to draw some good cards with that. Opponent has the Aven Eternal. So that definitely does change my play here. I'm definitely playing Thunder Drake. Or I'm playing Callous Dismissal. Maybe... I think I'm going to play Thunder Drake here. I'm going to have something to block the Eternal with. We're going to take some beef damage from that zombie army. But I can dismiss it next turn. What is this? 1 damage to a target or something? Oh, Vraska's Finisher. Fair enough. Alright. Massacre Girl. Unfortunately, Massacre Girl does not kill everything. She actually doesn't kill anything, because there's nothing with 1 toughness out right now. Alright, so we'll kill the zombie army, get our own, and now there's something with 1 toughness, so if they go all in with a bunch of creatures, Massacre Girl could be a good play next turn. And I can also just sack my 1/1 to gain a life and draw a card, if I want to do that instead. Flux Channeler. Yep. So, if I play Massacre Girl next turn, Spark Reaper is going to die, because it's going to be -1/-1 to my 1/1, which will then turn into -2/-2, which will then turn into -3/-3, -4/-4. So I'm actually just going to sack Spark Reaper right now, and gain the life and draw a card, because I do want to just Massacre Girl their stuff. I don't want that Flux Channeler to be around, and I don't just have like a single targeted removal spell here. So Massacre Girl it is. And that was pretty clutch from our opponent. So she doesn't kill anything. But she did get them to use their removal spell on our 1/1, at the very least. So I didn't lose a shit ton of value by sacking my 2/3. Because I also kind of just made them sack their Sword Thirst. That was a pretty even trade, I would say. Got 7 mana, don't have quite enough to Tamiyo's Epiphany and save Crush Descent up, unfortunately. They have a lot of creatures. Why isn't this guy flying? Okay, he is flying, but he's not floating, which is disturbing. Yeah, Angrath's definitely not a play here. I'm just going to Tamiyo's Epiphany, try to draw into something good. These are all small cards for early game, I feel like. I mean, they're like guaranteed blockers at the least, but I don't think that's what I want right now. These are larger cards, so I'm happy with that. Vraska Swarm's Eminence.
I only pick targets that interest me. Keep your friends close. Kill your enemies.
Alright. If I play Skylord, that's all I'm doing. If I play one of the 4 mana cards, I can play them and save a Crush Descent. I could also just play both the 4 mana cards. This is my problem with Crush Descent. Like, now that I'm in a place where I'm able to save up mana and cast it, like, last turn I wouldn't have been able to counter anything because they had the 2 mana up, and now they've just got the 1 card in hand, which is probably a land that they play. I don't think this is ever going to counter anything. And whoa, that was some lightning. Alright, well, if the power goes out, this video is not going up, so let's hope that does not happen. That's crazy, alright. We're going to play Herald. I get to kill the Skylord. Like, they have to double block. I guess I don't get to kill the Skylord. They can just double block with the Assassin and Vraska's finisher. Got him at 8 life here. I need an answer real soon. Alright, I'm going to save Crush Descent up. I'm going to hope they cast something that I can actually counter. And then next turn, I'm going to play Eternal Skylord and Angrath to give myself a large enough zombie army to block their zombie army in the sky. And that is how I will potentially... Oh my god. That is how I will potentially survive. We did something with Crush Descent. We did something big. So command the Dread Horde. Choose any number of creatures and planeswalkers and graveyards. Put them all under the battlefield under your control and take as much damage as they cost. Oh, these stupid 1/1s are going to be a problem. That guy's a 4/4 now. I'm gonna have 3 blockers total. So I just go block, 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 take 3. This is very bad. And they make another 1/1.
Come on.
I obviously cannot attack here. Alright, they might have just drawn a pump spell and ended the game. That would definitely suck. I guess they could have also just drawn a creature that like does a damage when it enters.
I'm good at killing, but I don't always enjoy it.
Nope. Right. Well, I will have 3 blockers if they don't draw a removal spell by next turn. If they already drew a removal spell, they absolutely would have just done it already.
The only prize I desire is your head.
Alright, so if they swing with everybody here, we are blocking the Death Touchers with the not an 11/11. Vraska's finisher? That would suck. Alright, no. Alright, and here's a Spark Reaper to sacrifice Angrath if I have to. So that's 11 damage this turn, 11 damage next turn. If they do not get an answer, and they need 2 creatures to block it because of Angrath's menace. Shriek Diver. Luckily, I can gain 3 life here and not die. Unluckily, it does require sacrificing my entire board. Or, I mean 2 life here and not die. So we sack Angrath. And we sack Spark Reaper and swing back for 11? Yeah, I miscounted there. I only have to sack these 2. I could actually just win off this. Let's see. Did we get there? It's a land! We got there. Wow. That was close. I thought there was no way I was going to win that game. This format is very swingy. Jesus. Alright, well I'm liking the blue-black build. It's got some gas in it. It's got some fire. I think I'm gonna stick with it for now. Until I just get totally demolished one game, and then I'll be like, alright, the blue-black build sucks. We're going blue-green. And the Crush Descent did work out. They happen to have just like a 6-mana bomb. And we definitely would have lost to without Crush Descent. This hand's very awkward. We don't do anything till turn 4. Let's hope their deck is slow too. Uh-oh, they're white. White could be fast. At least we got a bird to play on turn 2 now, so this hand doesn't look as egregious. Ooh, perfect. Oh wait, that's a 1-2, not a 1-3. I'm so used to the 2-mana flyers being 1-3s. Okay, so it's not actually perfect, but that's okay. We will take 2. If the Sky 3 Strix was a 1-3, that would be perfect. Archer for the goals. Well, I'm just gonna swing in, because I'm not gonna chump block 2 damage. Save this to chump block more damage later. Massacre Girl could be some big stuff turn 5. Alright, I think I'm just gonna pass and chump block some damage with the Sky Theater Strix, since it'll die to Massacre Girl anyway, and try to just get a one-sided Wrath here. They're not attacking with the flyer. Let's block the links. And there's a Chain Whip Cyclops, which I think will die to Massacre Girl, because -1, -2, -3, -4. Bam! Well, that was a massacre. Oh my god. Wow, she's a real card. That was the first time that I actually got her to kill stuff, and that was crazy. That was straight ridiculous. Oh my god, I can put her back in my hand? That's cool. That's really cool. Alright, we're just gonna send her in. And I've got 5 mana. I think I would rather just play creatures that are gonna poke my opponent here. Both of these are 3 damage on board. I guess we'll play Herald. Playing the Aven Eternal does give me a good excuse to bounce something with the Rescuer Sphinx, though. But this way, if I get a land, I could play Spark Reaper plus Aven Eternal. Next turn. I don't know what's actually best here. Alright. I don't know what they got here, but we are swinging in for 7. Put them into 8. They're potentially quite dead quite soon. I'm just going to play the flyer. Is land all that's left over there? Jaya's greeting. Into Cyclops Electromancer to finish off Massacre Girl. Could play Angrath, and then I get 5 damage in guaranteed here. Could also just send in and save Crush Descent. I've got like a lot of options. I think they're all pretty much lethal. I'm actually okay with them just trading for Herald, because he poops out on army anyway. So boop, get my army. Play another flyer. And there's the scoop. Massacre Girl pretty much won us that game the second that she got the 4-for-1. That was ridiculous. Ooh, and we get a extra pack of War of the Spark. Let's go ahead and open it right now, because we will have 3 packs to open when the event is over. Yeah.
Every exploit ripples through time. Be mindful.
That is not what I imagined Ugin sounded like. That's how I feel on a lot of the voices. But they did have to get a voice for 36 different Planeswalkers this set. So it's probably a lot of work for the story designers of the set, or the flavor designers. I don't know who's got the job of figuring out what these characters would sound like. That person had a lot of work. Alright, so we obviously need an island with this hand. But we do have a Lazotep Reaver on turn 2 to block stuff. Planar Beacon from our opponents. Well, I guess I don't absolutely need islands. If I just draw 2 more swamps, I will make it to Tithebearer Giant. Oh, Jesus. That was a joke, game. That was a joke, yo. I'm just gonna let us poke each other for 1. Here. Centaur, Nurturer. Alright, well, looks like they've got all the life gain here. No attacks, interesting. The mono black sealed pool.
Ramming speed.
Alright, now I kind of want to draw another swamp, because that would be really funny. All swamps to turn 6 Tithebearer Giant. My opponent's just like, wow, I really am playing against mono black. Bold strategy. It's definitely a bold keep, at the very least. Storm the Citadel with 2 dudes out. Right? You got him.
Back to the devil's chains and the storm-wrecked sea I go.
Oop. Arlen, voice of the pack. That's a major problem. That's 3 3/3s. Can't do anything about that too, because my creatures are too small to attack that. Well, there's the island. Draw into a second island. Yeah, if I attack Arlen, I'm just trading my 3/3 for a 3/3 of theirs. Whereas, if I can cast Flux Channeler and play one non-creature, I can turn my 3/3 into a 4/4, and it'll be superior to the wolves.
Oppose me and be reduced to rubble.
Which it looks like I can do here. So we're going to try to just have larger creatures than them. Because their creatures now have first strike during their turn thanks to Nahiri. And if we ever attack, she can deal X to a tapped creature. I think we want to do that, right? Spark Harvest and Rescuer Sphinx seem like good draws. Herald is like whatever. Land is definitely not a good draw. Definitely not attacking. At least they ran out of cards. So, this doesn't look that insanely threatening anymore unless they just top deck into something great. That's pretty good.
Welcome to my symphony of pain. I adore an audience.
Right. So we could just kill Nahiri and not have to worry about the first strike or the damage there. I'll also just save it to deal with a creature. I don't think I need to kill anything yet, so I'm just going to play some dudes. Let's get some flyers on this field. They actually have no response to flyers right now. Plus, this lets me put a counter on the Drake, so I can start proliferating onto the Drake as well. Yeah. Then we're gonna pass, and then we might Spark Harvest the Nahiri, so I can start poking them with the flyers. Because if I don't, then Nahiri could kill them. I guess I could just attack Nahiri with the flyers if I cast a non-creature spell.
More, the messier.
That'll be 5 damage and they'll be safe. Opponent has a lot of creatures. This Storm the Citadel would have been pretty crazy at this point. I guess they really did want to kill Angrath pretty badly. Alright, so if I cast 2 spells and 1 non-creature spell this turn, I can kill Arlen. But I don't think I can do that. I can cast 2 spells, though. So, I think Rescuer Sphinx on the Lazotep Reaver. I could also use it on the Tithebearer Giant, but then I can't recast him immediately, so that's kind of dangerous. Because then I don't have a 4/5 to block here. Which I do want. Alright, I think we poke Nahiri for 4. And obviously we are just hoping that our opponent does not top deck something important for Crush Descent immediately.
I care not for flesh wounds.
We can definitely save it up next turn. Wow! Alright. I wonder what they drew. I guess this is a shit ton of creatures attacking. This would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. That's not that bad. Alright, we'll take 6. And kill a bunch of stuff. If they don't have anything in their hand, we are incredibly safe now. Ooh, they might have thought Nahiri could deal damage to any creature, not just tapped creatures. Because they were looking at Nahiri a lot there. Alright, I think we just save up Crush Descent and Spark Harvest to kill some stuff later. And now we just have good blocks, right? Yeah, I think we're really safe. To just start making sure nothing goes wrong. So we'll take out the Planeswalkers, and now... That was adorable. The triple Planeswalker death sounds. Now we just start attacking their face every turn with the flyers. On-crop Invader could be strong. Because you could sack all these little 1/1s and start throwing their damage places. But there are only 2 of them, so that is only 2 damage where they want it. Ooh. That seems good. Now our zombie is flying. I doubt this is going to be able to counter something, but if they cast something that can be countered by this, then it's going to be something that needs to be countered. That's what's for sure. So they can turn that into 6 damage there. So they can't kill that. They can turn that into 4 damage there. They can't kill that. And there's the scoop. Alright. Wow, this is going a lot better than I expected. I thought this deck was going to be pretty average, but so far we're at 4 wins and 0 losses. This is a tremendously good record so far. The deck is definitely working out. Alright. We definitely need to draw land, but we do have the double blocker on the ground first. Then we have 2 different 3-drops, so we don't need to hit the 4th land for a little bit. We've got some stuff to do. I'm going to keep. Opponent is going first. We get the first draw. La Rune Enforcer. Fortunately, he cannot enforce a zombie army. Jesus. Alright. Double La Rune Enforcer. That is one way to start things. Makeshift Battalion. That gets a +1/+1 counter whenever they attack with 3 or more dudes. Double Angrath is a little awkward. This doesn't really matter. All these cards are pretty equal. I would maybe just take the Spark Reaver because it blocks the best, and everything else is pretty far away from getting cast. Alright, they agree. Definitely gonna kill one of the Law Rune Enforcers. Take 5. That's gonna be a yikes for me, dog. Well, don't win them all. Eventually the risky keeps do catch up to you. But I always feel worse when I get hosed by a mole than a keep. Alright. Ooh, this hand's legitimately awful. Because it is another 2-lander, except this time I can't even cast anything. I'm off color in my 2-lander. Alright, I can cast these cards. Keep this one. Scry a Spark Reaper to the top. Castable blocker. Duskmantle Operative. Can't be blocked by creatures with power 4 or greater. Luckily, it can be blocked by a Spark Reaper. Snare Spinner. Blocks a creature with flying. It gets +2 power to life. I'd rather be defensive here and play the 2-3 than play the flying zombie army. There's a Vraska, that is castable. The flyer isn't even aggressive here because of the Snare Spinner, fortunately, but I could play that to amass a zombie, and then play Flux Channeler, and then play Vraska. That is the slowest play, but none of these cards are going to be doing anything aggressively, so I think I'm fine to just play slowly here. Because I don't think either of us are going to be attacking each other until somebody plays something that drastically changes the board state. Opponent's thinking they may be stuck on 3 mana. They are not. They are just, I don't know, occupied. Well, that's very bad. Very, very bad. 5/4 trample when it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker. Return a creature or planeswalker in your graveyard that wasn't put there at this combat. So that'll just keep getting stuffs back. Might have to just make a 1/1 Death Touch here. And if they want to kill Vraska, they can. But I think I need to kill that thing. I mean, I can just also double block it with an Aven Eternal and a Spark Reaper. Which might not be the worst thing in the universe. If I Flux Channeler, I can Flux Channeler into Vraska to get 1 counter. I'm only missing out on 1 counter if I play Flux Channeler after Vraska. So let's just play the bigger blocker. Because now I can double block Storev, and I lose 1 Spark Reaper. So now they don't have a good attack with him until they kill one of my Spark Reapers. Because that will be 4 power and 6 toughness, blocking the 5 power and 4 toughness creature. Looks like they definitely have something to deal with one of the Spark Reapers. Oh, maybe not. It's doing maths. Alright. Show me the giant growth, I guess. Throwing any additional creatures onto this has the potential to go really, really bad. Because if it is just giant growth and I throw Aven Eternal on here as well, they then just get to kill both Spark Reapers and Aven Eternal. So I think if they have a trick here, I'm kind of just screwed. So we gotta make them have it. Death Sprout it is. So, throwing Aven Eternal on there would have worked out, because it was just an instant speed removal spell, rather than a pump spell. Let's just play both our creatures here. Kill my tutu. Still don't have anything to bring back with Storev, so I think if they attack here, I'm just gonna take it. They're just gonna attack with the operative? Alright, well you have a snare spinner, so let's just trade. Evolution Sage. Luckily they don't have anything with counters on it to make crazy stuff. Unfortunately, I don't have anything with counters on it either, but I think it's still best to play the 5/6 here. And now they can't really attack me, thanks to killing off the operative. And that's gonna be game. That's...
Notice I didn't say so. Well done. Being incorporeal is a great way to leave a dull party.
That is exile 2 target creatures, and actually a lot more, because every time you draw land, this gets another loyalty counter. Yeah. I don't have anything in my deck that's going to get me out of that one. Even if I, like, got the most beautiful draw in the universe and got, like, a Massacre Girl and killed all the creatures, they just exile Massacre Girl. And then they already have, you know, a bonus creature in hand. At that point, and they return more creatures with Storev. If I'm ever blocking in a manner that does not chump block. Another pretty bad hand. I feel like I've used up all of my luck in the first 4 rounds, and now it's just some bad positions. One goes first, we're on the draw. Whatever, let's deal with it. The worst case scenario, this is the last game. And I get to go cry in the corner. Alright, 2/3 should be good at blocking that little 2/1. Toll of the Invasion. Never mind, I guess we just lose. So if they take Spark Reaper and I don't immediately draw land, then I have 0 gas. I just have, like, literally nothing castable. Interesting. I would not have taken Angrath. I would have just taken Spark Reaper. Let's Toll of the Invasion them. This card kills 3 creatures at the price of 1 card. They also have Bolt Bend, which counters a removal spell and gives them a removal spell, so this is pretty awful. Spoiler alert, this is pretty awful. They also have a Kiora? They're red-black? I mean, they have a Mana Geode, so there it is. Trade armies. There is Massacre Girl. I guess their hand, they have like no more creatures. I could maybe start poking them for some damage. You could also just Kaya's Ghost form onto the Prismite, that might be worth it. Because they know what else is in my hand, they know I can't play anything else. Except for the question mark card for them. Oh, this doesn't give +1/+1, never mind. Ghost form actually does nothing.
I defy gods. Defying you will be easy.
I got mixed up with the Demonic Vigor from Dominaria when I was thinking about giving +1/+1 there. This is pretty bad. What you got for me, opponent? A solid pass. I mean, this gives me time to draw into the land. I think if I just draw into an island at basically any point, I'm in a really good spot, because they're not really doing anything for now. I do have to keep in mind that I basically don't have a Spark Harvest in this hand, because they can just Bolt Bend it at any point, so that would just be terrible. Wow. Yeah, we're just gonna discard it. We're just gonna plan to not be targeting stuff. Spark Harvest is probably still worth it to keep, like, in case they tap out later for something. But the thing is, if they tap out for some kind of big creature later, they literally need 1 red up, because Bolt Bend only costs 1 mana when you have a creature with power 4 or greater. So they would have to tap out for a creature that costs more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. More than 6. I think that's just insanely unlikely. Alright. We hopefully are in it now? I'm not gonna attack Kiora because she doesn't seem to be doing anything. I think I'm just going to attack them with Thunder Drake.
All will bow before Nicol Bolas.
That's pretty sick. It is worth noting, if I hadn't discarded Spark Harvest, they were not going to do that, because Spark Harvest was revealed that whole time. It would have just waited. Yep, Crush Descent isn't going to do anything either.
I outsmarted you eons ago.
Opponent is having all of the fun with this Bolas. Does it even really matter at this point? He just dies and comes back. Jesus Christ.
But a drop of power.
Since they have no creatures out, I'll just play the creature with more power. This is a 1-2, that's a 2-2. Interesting, they're just gonna pop the Bolas right now.
All of the multiverse will bend to
I
my
might
will.
actually be able to kill that thing then.
I have other plans. My intellect is without limit.
Nature flows with vigor.
I'm gonna play 2 threats in 1 here. To spread out my stuff.
You amuse me.
Alright, they've got 1 blocker for my 3 creatures. If they don't draw into something.
Defiances infuriate.
I can kill
You
Bolas.
have no weakness I cannot exploit.
Alright, they might not have drawn into something. I do have to attack with everybody though, so I have to lose my zombie army here. 0 blocks. He is gone.
My revenge will be painful.
Alright, we have a real chance now. Unless they just drop another mythic rare bomb. I think we actually have a real chance. Whew. They have drawn a lot of lands, but they've also drawn just a shit ton of cards, period. Because they've drawn so many additional cards. I'm just going to attack their face, because they haven't played a single creature that triggers Kiora's draw ability all game. So I'm starting to think that Kiora might just be in there because she's Kiora. And they were like, ooh, Planeswalker. It seems so far like their deck might not have that many creatures with power 4 or greater to draw cards. And there's the scoop! Wow, we fought through the double Nicol Bolas. It wasn't technically 2 copies of Bolas, but it was a Bolas that returned from death. Well, I feel proud about that one. 5 wins, 2 losses. We are far above average right now. Well, not far above. We're a little above average right now. We'll see if we can keep going. Get some more wins here. I think if we get one more win, I will make back exactly as many gems as I spent on this. I think at 6 wins, you get 2,000 gems back. So you basically just got all of the cards for free. So that would be exceptional. That is what we call in the money. In sealed. Sage of Latnam. I love my opponent's username. Very nice. And here we are again with the mono-colored hands. I don't think I'm just ever going to draw a not mono-colored hand after that 4-win streak. I'm going to mulligan this one, because I'm on the play this time. So I don't get to draw another card here. And my blue stuff, even like by the time I hit an island, it's not fast stuff. Wow. That is far worse. That is a way worse hand. I'll keep it though. Swamp makes sure that we hit Angrath, but if Angrath's the only thing we're playing, I don't think we're in a good spot. We play Angrath and make a 2-2 and then Angrath dies immediately. That is like 95% chance of what's going to happen. So I really need to hit an island. I'm not going to mulligan 5 cards. That is quite the death sentence the vast majority of the time. And there's the island. Alright. So at least there's that. Take the Link's damage. It has first strike. Unfortunately, I can't play this Angrath and have him be protected that well. Because I'll have a 2-2, and they have a 2-1 first strike. So if I play Angrath, I'm literally just playing him as a 2-2, but I don't really have a better play. Like, I can play the 1-2 flyer. I have to just play a 4-mana 2-2 here that is going to die.
Never seen water. Come on!
Well, if they're gonna do this, then I just have to, like, pray to all of the gods if they don't have a pump spell. Oh my god, we actually did it. Actually killed the first striker. There's a La Rune Enforcer that luckily cannot tap down a zombie army. And now we've gotten all the value.
Fight for it.
We've got all the value that we need out of Angrath because there's no way that the Menace is going to come into play anytime soon anyway. Let's play a Herald. How's it going, Herald? If I swing in, I'm basically just trading for a La Rune Enforcer. That doesn't seem great. We definitely want to play this Eternal Skylord and, like, really get in there. Alright. They may be sacrificing this to kill it. Alright, they immediately lifted their hand. We're blocking that one. Sick. Absolutely fabulous.
I've weathered tougher storms than you.
Gonna play a bird. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing we could really do about a Divine Arrow since we didn't draw the mana to play Skylord anyway. There's no way that 4/4 wasn't gonna go into combat by the time that the Divine Arrow happened. Or by the time that we had Skylord mana. Yeesh. I do want the 5th mana, but I don't want these little cards. I mean, maybe I do. Just to block stuff, but then I'm just chumping. These Law Reinforcers are such a big problem. I don't think I can really do anything here, except for die slowly. Let's actually just put everything on bottom and see if maybe there's an answer that I don't remember in my deck that I'll draw into. These are not that, but that's okay. I did want one of them. Well, I think I'm pretty SOL here. Little Law Rune jerks. Just demolishing all my hopes and dreams. Well, I can make one creature that they can't tap. So we'll do that. Yeah, 2/2. But they do get to tap literally all of my other creatures, because now they tap Herald and they tap both of my other non-zombie army creatures. And then I chump the 4 and take 6. God, two copies of Law Rune Enforcer is actually just like... just feels actually unbeatable. Like, that's insane. Well, at least I learned something. And now when I draft, if I'm in whites, I'm gonna be like, hey, Law Rune Enforcer is a very real card. That was destructive. Alright, so we did not get our 2,000 gems back, but we got as close as we could. We were one win away from getting the 2,000 gems back. So, 3 packs, as always, as you get in your sealed. Let's see what other little bonus cards we get in the collection. Heb Dreadhorde Champion, very cool dude. Deals come down to a player Planeswalker, you can discard any number of cards, draw them many cards, and add that much red. Commence the end game. Draw 2, amass X, where X is the number of cards in your hand, and it can't be countered. Pretty nice. Make a pretty large zombie army, uncounterably. And another Neheb. Wow. Hello again. I feel like I just saw you a second ago. Well, thank you everybody for watching another Magic Arena video. I have a lot of gems. And traditional draft of War of the Spark is up, and I have a traditional draft entry from pre-release. So, I will definitely see you all again very soon for some more War of the Spark.